Huh. Hmm. You know, this shirt's actually pretty darn comfortable. For those of you who don't know, this is the official American Ninja Warrior t-shirt. Well, one of them at least, but this one's quite nice, actually. And I figured I'd wear it for such an occasion like this because, hello, my name is William, and I am here to talk to you, yes, you, about American Ninja Warrior Season 10, the Las Vegas Midoriyama Finals. We are finally here. This is Stage 1, Part 1. And I'm here to talk to you in approximately however long I want, because the rule is, in Vegas, there is no time limit. For these videos, at least. So, we're going to start the clock right now. Let's see how long this goes for, shall we? So, we finally made it to the grammatically incorrect Mount Midoriyama in Las Vegas. The ending of American Ninja Warrior every season. The part that truly matters the most. It's 12 weeks of build-up for 3 weeks of payoff. Bit unbalanced, but hey, whatever. This is, for me personally, the way American Ninja Warrior handles Midoriyama is the most important part of the season. It's not like, in terms of how I feel about a season, it's not like, all episodes are built the same. Every episode before Midoriyama can be great, but if the Midoriyama episodes are terrible, I have a very low opinion of the season. For example, see Season 4. But that's a conversation for another time. There's been seasons that I like when it comes to Midoriyama, and seasons that I don't like for various reasons. But that's all in the past. Let's talk about Season 10, shall we? So, this time around, they have reworked the course a bit, and 97 people have qualified for Vegas. This was the first half of the episode first half of the stage. They split them up into 2 parts. Let's go through the course. First, we have Archer Alley, which is an upgraded variation of the Archer Steps. As you may recall, I do like the Archer Steps, and I like this new version of the Archer Steps, Archer Alley. Basically, it's the 3 Doritos, as they've been lovingly called by some of the Ninja Warrior competitors. But the catch is, as you're running up, you got 1, and then you got 1 to your right when you're running, and then 1 back to the center. So center, right, center. You got to go through these platforms. The catch is, they spin, so you got to be careful. Then you got to jump from the 3rd triangle to a rope, swing to the platform. I like it. It's good. I'm glad they kept it. Obstacle number 2 is the propeller bar. This I do not like. When I found out that the propeller bar was back in Vegas, my immediate reaction was, boo. I was never a big fan of the propeller bar. I've been wanting them to get rid of it for quite a while at this point. And honestly, in my opinion, the propeller bar has overstayed its welcome in the fact that it was never welcome to begin with. I just want, God, why do they, of all the obstacles that they continue to use every year, why do they keep the propeller bar? And it's even like, it comes across as even worse now because the Archer Steps, it's a series of obstacles leading to a rope they swing to a platform. The propeller bar is a trampoline that goes into a propeller bar that brings to a rope that you swing onto a platform. We already have a trampoline obstacle in the form of the jumping spider. We don't need 2 trampoline obstacles. We don't need 2 back-to-back obstacles that are grab a rope and swing to the platform, We only need 1 of each of those things on a course. And so, to me, the propeller bar is just redundant, and I would like it if they replaced it with something else, But they insist on keeping it. And then we have the return of the Double Dipper. I was a big fan of Double Dipper last year. I still like the Double Dipper. There's a few sketchy moments that I'll get to in a little bit, but there was a few kind of scary moments that I have to go back and see if there was anything changed in regards to the obstacle itself. But I still like the Double Dipper. Nothing really changed. Basically, swing down track, jump, grab a second bar, swing down the second track, jump to the finishing platform. Then you got the return of the jumping spider, the one obstacle other than the warped wall that they will not change. In terms of replacing, I know, I'm sure they've modified the distance to the jumping spider and the trampoline and all that, but it's the same traditional jumping spider. I like the jumping spider. I got to experience it earlier this year at the NNL finals the day before during the open gym. It's fun. It's a good obstacle. I got no problem with keeping it, other than the fact that like they've used it so many times now. In fact, seven times. We'll get to that in a second. In fact, we'll get to it right now. So, obstacle number 5 is the Jeep Run, and this is an obstacle I got to give a thumbs down to. I don't like the Jeep Run. The biggest reason being, so for those you don't know, well, I mean, it's a sponsored obstacle, but it's not as obnoxious as Fallout was this year. So I got no problem with it. But basically, you got to run across 4 tires, grab onto a steering wheel that turns 180 degrees, like on a pivot point, and then it locks into place. You got to transfer to another wheel that turns 90 degrees. Then you got to land on another tire, but this tire spins, but it doesn't spin the whole time. And so, yeah, it's a bit of a hodgepodge obstacle, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. But I have this problem that A&W is trying to do, in which they're trying to find this replacement for the half pipe attack, because that was the spot where the half pipe attack originally was. And in my opinion, every obstacle that has followed the half pipe attack has never been as good as the actual half pipe attack. The biggest reason being, just like Jeep Run, whether it's Jeep Run, Sonic Curve, Parkour Run, you can save yourself on the run-up. A properly built half pipe attack, especially the one in Sasuke, if you slip up the run-up to the rope, you're not recovering. You're falling into that water because it's slippery, it's steep, you can easily fall over. The A&W half-pipe attack, the way that they built it, always had a bit of an issue, but like with Jeep Run, it's very obvious that you don't need a run-up. You don't need to run up those tires. You can walk and then just jump off of the last tire. I mean, it's a little slower, but that it doesn't really seem that hard to get the momentum to get to 180 degree turn. And more importantly, that second steering wheel locks into place. So making the transfer is pretty forgiving. I do like the idea of a rotating platform. It's a bit weird because like the landing platform after the spinning tire that you gotta land on is like, it's very low to the ground, like the actual dirt. So it looks, and because it's black, it looks like it's out of bounds. So like every time they jump, it looks like they're landing out of bounds, but that's not the case in this case. I'll get to it more, but like there's a philosophy problem that I have with the Jeep Run in general, and just this course. I like the course, but there needs to be changes. Then they got the warped wall with the full belt, the full curve at the bottom. So it's the shortest run up of the warped wall. I'm fine with that. And then they got the razor beams, which is like, why? Like, I like the razor's edge, but like, no one's failed this obstacle yet in this episode. I don't know how many people are going to fail in the next week's episode, but like, it's so weird that it's called the razor beams because it looks just like the razor's edge. It's hard to really tell from a functional standpoint how different it is from the razor's edge. It just seems like the razor's beam. And like visually, I would say it's less interesting than the razor's edge, because razor's edge have those corners cut off that at least like made your foot placement and a little more tricky. But it's just kind of like, I like Razor's Edge in like qualifying, but like as a Midoriyama obstacle, like that's the balance obstacle you went with. Like, I understand not going with the tuning forks, but like just go back to spinning bridge. Like that would have been, that's fine, or you can use the diamond dash, or I don't know. It looks so lame because it just looks like a series of balance beams, and it's kind of hard to like imagine them being like superimposing. Like, as a viewer, it's hard to tell how difficult the obstacle actually is. At least with the domino pipes last year, you had a sense of the challenge that could happen. But with the razor beams, it doesn't really come across that. And I think this is sort of like a big problem I have with the philosophy that they continue to use for stage 1 of Midoriyama. Even though I still like the course, I want to make this perfectly clear. I really enjoyed watching this episode. But the thing is, Sasuke 27 was a long time ago at this point. Sasuke 27 was ANW 3. That was 7 years ago. That was the course they used at the end of ANW 3 before they built their own Midoriyama, and then Monster 9 went bankrupt, so ANW had to make their own course. ANW 4 course was based on the Sasuke 27 course, that makes sense, that's fine. But they keep using the Sasuke 27 skeleton. It's basically the same formula. The first obstacle is some form of steps. Granted, the Archer Alley is vastly different from all the other step obstacles, so it's fine. But with the exception of ANW 4, the second obstacle has always been some sort of trampoline obstacle into a thing that you have to grab that rotates. And then obstacle 3 is always some sort of thing that you grab and ride. Now with ANW 4 it was a lot smaller, but then you had with ANW 5 and 6 you had the rope glider, the silk slider, the giant log grip, and now the double dipper. It follows that whole same thing that you ride down sort of obstacle, which again, I like the double dipper. And then obstacle 4 has always been the jumping spider, which is obstacle, for 7 years now. And then obstacle 5 is always the half-pipe attack-esque obstacle. It's always the obstacle that you run across and then you grab and you swing over the water. One thing that's interesting about the Jeep run that I just want to bring up is that I watched some tester footage from the Brazzi Bros channel, and originally those holds for Jeep Run looked a lot tougher. They were like big tires, but for the final product, they're like steering wheels that are seem a lot easier to grab. Excuse me. So it's interesting that they nerfed the obstacle, and I wonder if those tires were that much overpowered, or if they regret it, because as of right now, no one's failed Jeep Run also, and that kind of brings up. It seems to be following the same problem that the course had last year, because last year Parkour Run took out no people, the Domino Pipes took out one person. You can chalk that up to I think 3 if you include USA versus the World. But they're not very effective obstacles, really. And then the same, going back to that formula, you still have the warped wall, and then you have a balance obstacle that's after the warped wall. And I've always preferred where I don't like it when there's too many obstacles after the warped wall, just because the warped wall is, in theory, this obstacle you're supposed to get stuck on. But that's just a minor thing. But you always got to have a balance obstacle after the warped wall. And after the spinning bridge and the coin flip, they seem to be, quite frankly, kind of running out of ideas that are really effective. And now, for obstacle 8, it's always some sort of obstacle that goes into the cargo net. They continue to use the cargo net, originally it was just the Tarzan rope into the cargo net. But then they used the jumping bars and then the flying squirrel, and now they have twist and fly. I like twist and fly. It's based on the double twister. I don't know, like in terms of spinning, how different it is to twist to the double twister. Maybe it doesn't spin. It didn't seem like it spun as much. Definitely, it seemed like it spun, but it definitely didn't seem as loose. But there's also like a max swing when you're doing the twist and fly. So like it won't like do like perfect pendulum where I'll just go up certain height. It'll just kind of like stop. So that's the thing. You got to go into the trampoline. In the cargo net. And I'm always kind of like concerned that with the cargo net, like someone might get their head stuck in it. I mean, I hope that never happens, but sometimes when I see people miss it, I get that worry. So yeah, that's all my thoughts on the course. And like, oh boy, we're almost 15 minutes in already. So let's talk about the actual episode itself now, shall we? So basically in the intro, I've talked about. Oh, the last thing I forgot about the course before I continue. 2 minutes and 25 seconds for the time limit. That is, I believe that is less time than last year. I want to say 2:35 last year. And it seems fine so far. So yeah, in regards to the episode itself, they did basically a montage of competitors and stuff, and it was inoffensive, but it's the same usual like kind of lame music that A&W uses. I'm never the biggest fan of their song selections, but let's just get into the course to the action itself. They start off with Matthew Day. They talked about the whole 19-year-old movement and how there's 4 19-year-olds in in national finals. Matthew Day was looking good until he got to the jumping spider, where his left foot slipped off when he was trying to stick the landing in between the two walls. So he is eliminated. So yeah, that's the important thing to point out. When you get to Vegas, there's no more furthest fastest until you get to the very end. But we'll talk about that later. If you hit the water, you're out. And then Davon Hancock's. This profile went long, and I kind of have a feeling that this was like the editors trying to fit time in or something. Basically, they're rehashing his LA EMT thing. I'm getting recognized in the job, which was fine. He was looking good until Jeep Run. I apologize. One person has failed Jeep Run, and it was Davon. But he hasn't failed. He didn't fail the run up. He didn't fail the run up. He didn't fail any transfers. He failed the landing. Basically, he landed too short on the wheel, too close to the front, and it spun out from under because it rotates. It spun out underneath him, and he went into the water. Then they did a little flashback to the Fantastic Four. They're still talking about the 4 women from Cleveland. Was it Cleveland? No, it was Philadelphia. From A&W 8, who all made it to the top 4. Who all made it to the top 30. And basically just kind of like promoting I'm going to see all the women tonight. And there was a segment during that profile where Michelle was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if all 4 of us could clear stage 1." Yeah, about that. Oops. We'll get to that in a second. But we start off with Rachel Goldstein. She had a scary dismount on Archer Alley, and she spent a long time on the propeller bars, however, just a lot of time being wasted early on, but she ended up going off on the double dipper, slipped off the second bar, and is eliminated. Then they showed Nick Hansen, and his profile was about how he went to Hawaii to train with Grant McCartney. Basically, similar to how Grant went to Alaska last year to train with him. It was a neat little profile. I don't mind them showing people having fun. However, I need to criticize the commentary on this one. and maybe less the commentary, more like the editing or the direction with the commentary in this particular run. So in the beginning, Eisman was like, "Oh, 2 years ago he just timed out right before hitting the buzzer, and then last year he finished with like 5 seconds left. So time is an issue for him. He needs to make sure he keeps track of good time." Now that statement on its own is fine, because you're just stating what happened in the past, and it's at the beginning of this run. You're just stating statistical facts. You mention it once, that's fine. The problem is, throughout his entire run, Eisman especially kept emphasizing the time limit, and that he doesn't want to time out. He doesn't want to time out again. He's got to be careful on the clock. And it's like, guys, can you make it any more clear he's going to time out at the end of the course? And that is what happened. Nick, he's unfortunately he's just too slow. He just went too slowly, and he had some trouble on twist and fly. Did he grab low? Yeah, he grabbed low. Basically, he got twisted up on twisted fly, and then he grabbed the net low. And he just didn't have enough time to get to the top and hit the buzzer. And this is the first time we actually heard the new failure noise. They have a new noise for when time runs out. It's not the usual just... It's now... It's like a video game almost. Like a buzzer. Like a giant you lose buzzer. Felt bad. Would have liked to see Nick move on, but we gotta be mindful of that clock. I am kind of curious how easy it is to see the time outside the last 30 seconds. Like, I know people yell the time from the sidelines, but I wonder how easy it is for the competitors to see the clock outside the last 30 seconds. Then, so for some fast forwards, Nick Patel failed the propeller bar. Rigel Henry, despite being a crazy person, pinning his badge to his finisher's badge to his skin, which is like, no, don't do that. He failed the double dipper. And then Brian Rambo failed the jumping spider. Aw, man. I feel bad for Rambo. Oh well. We'll see him in Rambo 2, I guess. And then they had Kyle Schulze, who was, the deaf ninja. Well, he calls himself the deaf ninja. That's what he is. Cool little vignette of him teaching other ninjas how to sign language, and how he's been posting videos on, I want to say, his Instagram, of him teaching us ninja sign language. That's cool. Unfortunately for him, he wiped out on Archer Alley. I gotta say, they didn't telegraph this, so I appreciate the surprise in him failing. It sucks that it happened to him, but I guess that just goes to show you can't underestimate any obstacle. Someone's got to fail the first obstacle. Unfortunately, it was just him. And then they had Austin Gray. They did a whole recap with the kidney thing. I'm not going to go through it again, but he was actually really impressive, because he got a little hung up on the propeller bar because he missed the rope the first time around, but he ended up going pretty fast through the course. In fact, he's had a full minute left when he got to twist and fly, and he ended up clearing the course with 33.89 seconds left. So very impressive run from him. No offense to him, I wouldn't have pegged him as being someone to clear. He was obviously good, but I guess just judging from the regionals, he seemed like he was almost there, but not quite there yet. But hey, he proved me wrong, so good for him. Then, so for some more fast forwards, Jerry DeRulio unfortunately went out on the propeller bar. Elliot Giovalette, I'm assuming I wrote that incorrectly, failed the double dipper. And Brent Stevenson, okay, Brent, look, you've been doing this for a long time now, and you posing to the crowd in the middle of the course, come on, man, you know better than this. You should know better than this, at least. He timed out on the cargo net, close to almost hitting the buzzer. Come on. You got to be mindful of the clock. Like, how long have you been doing this? You've run A&W, you've run Sasuke. You should know better. I'm sorry. You've run the Chinese Ninja Warrior Sasuke show also. So come on, you can do better. And then we had John Alexis Jr. They reused his college profile piece that they used on Ninja versus Ninja. So interesting thing I learned in regards to the Jeep Run when watching John Alexis Jr. is that there's a max amount of spin that the landing tire can do, because John got a bad swing from the second steering wheel to the landing tire, and he landed towards the front. He kept running and on it to keep his balance, but it stopped. I'm like, huh. And I think one of the reasons is because the wheel technically goes in the water, so I guess they don't want the wet portion getting on the competitor's shoes. But, like, yeah, that's kind of interesting that, like, you can just, continue. You can save yourself because it only spins so far. But unfortunately, John Alexis Jr., he failed the twist and fly. He missed the cargo net transition and gave a big splash. That sucked. I was hoping he'd do better. I was hoping he'd make it, basically. That's, just. And then we had something that really sucks. They gave Travis was Travis Rosen. I almost forgot his name. They gave a bunch of stats for Travis Rosen, not a real profile piece. And last week's preview for this episode, they hinted that someone was going to get injured, and I didn't think it'd be Travis, but unfortunately... Okay, so this is what I was alluding to earlier with the Double Dipper, especially this one. When Travis launched off the first bar to the second bar, I don't know exactly what happened, but he got so much momentum that he skipped most of the second track. Basically, so the Double Dipper, it goes like this. Basically, I guess it goes like that. Travis went like this. Instead of like this, he went like this, and he got a bunch of air time, and he landed on the track hard, and that caused him to let go. And unfortunately, he jammed his ankle into the mat, the landing platform of the Double Dipper, and he unfortunately broke his ankle. He has gotten surgery. Yeah, that sucks. It's really sad. So yeah, I didn't really appreciate them putting the Travis Rosen run on YouTube and saying like Travis Rosen's injury run or something like that. They alluded to the injury. I don't know. That just seemed a little. I don't know. I just didn't care for them doing that. I hope for a speedy recovery for Travis. I hope the best for him. He's a legit good guy. He's such a nice guy. So I hope the best for him. Then they had Flip Rodriguez, and they did a whole profile about him training with his former rival Drew Drechsel. It was a neat. I like it. It was a nice profile piece. And then shockingly, he also went out on the Double Dipper. He when he grabbed the second bar, he fell off the track. A bit weird. This is kind of I'm not sure. It's always one of those things where it's I'm not sure how much of it is maybe the obstacle's fault or the player's fault. I don't know. It was a bit weird, a bit surprising to see him go out there. Then they had Carson Voiles, and you know me, I'm not a biggest fan of the sob story packages, and I feel this one laid it on a little too thick. But basically, his wife has a brain tumor, so obviously, I hope the best for her and her health. But hey, you know what? Carson, he did well on the course. He ended up clearing, which is great. 19.78 seconds left. Not much to say other than that it was just a solid run. It's one of those runs where there's not really much to comment about because it was just a textbook run, which is really what you want. They did a little promo promoting next week. We'll see Drew, Megan, and Najee next week. So some fast forwards. We got Danny Bergstrom, who failed the Double Dipper. Thomas Coffrin, the firefighter, failed the Jumping Spider. And Tyler Yamauchi failed the Double Dipper. And this is another one of those sort of like questionable moments. Tyler got so much airtime that his armpit, he grabbed the bar with his armpit because he was so high up on the second bar. And because of that, he ended up causing the bar to go off track and he fell off. So, yeah, very, very weird. Very weird. And next up was the run that I wish they didn't post to YouTube ahead of time, but they did. And I kind of, even though I didn't watch it, I kind of caught wind of what happened because of a certain news website associated with American Ninja Warrior. But Jamie Rahn, Captain NBC, they did a whole profile about him being a superhero. This was a big story of this run because at first he looked good, and then he hit the trampoline for the propeller bar, and almost instantly, I mean, it was easy to miss, but when he hit the trampoline, his shoe popped off. Yeah, that could have gone better, but oh well. Jamie, I think what happened was, I think he got a little too close to the front of the trampoline and it popped off. That's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, so he had to do the course with only one shoe until he took the other one off. But yeah, he took the sock off as people were yelling at him to take a sock off, which is like obviously the better move to do. And he ended up doing the jumping spider with the shoe and with one barefoot. And he ended up doing it, and it looked like he was really struggling on the barefoot side because he had like the ball, his toes, the front half of his foot on the wall. And then when he got to Jeep Run, he took off the other sock and shoe, and he did the rest of the course barefoot. And it definitely the whole ordeal definitely slowed him down because by the time he got to the razor beams, he only had 36 seconds left. And I know Akbar, I can't remember if it was before or after this point, he said, you got to give yourself at least 30 seconds to do the twist and fly. I got to give credit to Jamie. He ended up doing both the razor beams and the twist and fly in less than 30 seconds because as soon as he got down from the warped wall, he ran across those beams, didn't stop, hit the springboard to the twist and fly, and completed the course with 7.07 seconds left. An impressive clear, an awesome clear. I'm sure got a lot of people excited. That must have been an exciting run to watch live. But yeah, good on Jamie. He deserves it. And I thought of a funny thing that someone could do to edit this run is that you take the footage of when the shoe is flying off of Jamie's foot on the trampoline, and you edit in the ending of Austin Powers where he gets hit in the head with the shoe. So it goes flying off screen, and then you cut to the shoe flying and hitting Austin Powers in the head, and you just have Austin Powers go, "Who throws a shoe?" I don't know. It's just what I thought of it. I thought it'd be pretty funny in that regard. Anyway, and then Brian Arnold was shown, but he was given a commercial run, and this was just, I hate these commercial runs, just because I hate the layout. I hate that part of the screen for the run itself is cut off. The first half of this run, there was no timer on screen, but I actually watched it in this room on my computer. Using an app because I have AC in this room and it's been really hot this week so far. But I imagine if I was watching this on my TV where I'm further away from the screen, it would actually be really hard to see that timer because the timer is still the same proportion as it would for it normally be if it was full screen, but because it's so much smaller, It's a mess. Brian Arnold, unfortunately, he had 25 seconds left at Twist and Fly, and he ended up failing the Twist and Fly trying to grab the cargo net. He was rushing it because I think it was like 10 seconds left and all that. So unfortunately, Brian Arnold fails stage 1. Really sad about that because I like Brian Arnold. But anyway, back to the main show. It kind of sucks because like that's the second time Brian Arnold got a commercial run, and like I'm pretty sure those commercial runs don't show up on the on-demand versions. And even furthermore, I'm actually curious because you can buy the episodes on iTunes. I wonder if they would even have them on the iTunes version. They probably don't. Man, that sucks. So, like, for future reference, it's going to look like they just didn't show Brian Arnold for both the city finals and the stage 1. That's good. That sucks. I feel bad for him now. Okay, next up was Neil Craver. This profile went long. So, the whole Crazy Craver thing, that's fine. Him training on fire and training ice, that's all fine too. Because that all comes across as very natural to him. The problem is this profile didn't feel natural. It felt like an NBC production. With the whole, he has two voices in his head. One saying, be careful. The other saying, go nuts. It felt very contrived and scripted and just, no. Wasn't a fan. And it ran long. Like, I might have enjoyed it more if it didn't run so long. Because, God, no, not a fan. Unfortunately, Neil failed the double dipper. He let go of the first bar late, and so he got a bad transition and he went down. So unfortunate, but he's out too. Then we had Alyssa Beard, and they did the whole recap of last year, clearing stage 1, which was a big moment back then. And then they swerve us and reveal that, and they show us her run, but she failed Archer Alley, and it's like that was legitimately shocking. I think that was sort of I felt bamboozled. I almost felt bamboozled a little bit. But yeah, that was unfortunate. And I think honestly, like the placement, it had nothing to do with the placement. Like I wasn't suspicious of that or anything, just because like. They didn't save her run last year for the very end. It was in the middle of the episode, maybe a little later. But like, if hypothetically we had more than one woman, you can't just like put them all at the end. You got to space them out, But yeah, that sucks. I guess that's just what happens. Then for some more fast forwards, Michelle Warnke unfortunately also failed Archer Alley. It's like, man. The Fantastic Four, unfortunately, dropping like flies, and that sucks. Michael Johnson failed the Double Dipper. Double Dipper really seems like a big ninja killer this year. And then we had Dan Polizzi clear the course for the first time ever. I didn't catch if they showed a time. Hold on. According to this, he finished in 2:15.93. So. Just a little bit less than 10 seconds left on the clock. So it would be, a little less than 10. It'd be 9. It'd be 9.07 left on the clock. But yeah, I would have liked to see that run because that felt like a first time clear for a veteran. I would have liked to see that. And then they had James McGrath, and they highlighted the fact that the last 2 times he's been at Vegas, he failed the jumping spider, which is, again, I just want to point out, like, as a profile is fine because you're just stating facts. You're just stating history, which is fine. And then his run came, and I legitimately yelled no in shock because he failed the jumping spider once again. He had too much forward momentum, and he ended up just leaning forward, doing the cannonball twist thing, and just, man, that was crushing to see. I because I mean, James and I were friends, and it's just like, I don't know, that I didn't like seeing. I mean, it sucked to see that, because I didn't think that was going to happen. I think he can do it. And here's the thing. Like, here's the crazy thing. I know he can do the jumping spider. He's done it before. He's done it. Let's see. So let's see. He wasn't in 9, so 8 and 7. He's like, I know he can clear the jumping spider because he's done it before. He's done it in Sasuke. He's done it in American Ninja Warrior. I don't know why this is tripping him up. The thing that I find interesting, almost like a full circle thing, is that James failing the jumping spider the way he did, and this is being season 10 of American Ninja Warrior, it kind of reminded me of Colin Bell's fail in the very first American Ninja Challenge. For those of you who don't know, before American Ninja Warrior existed, there was American Ninja Challenge, which was a contest held by G4 that was part of their Attack of the Show program, where people were selected to get to go to Sasuke and compete there. And Colin Bell was the very first winner. And when he competed on Sasuke 19, which for those of you who don't know is the hardest Sasuke in history, at least if you go by the results. Colin Bell failed the jumping spider, and he did a similar move to what James did, by at least in terms of the cannonball rotating into the water, and it's just, yeah, a bit of a full circle, I guess. It sucks to see him fail, though. It's just, yeah. And then we had Casey Suhaki, the Bama Ninja. He got married. Hey, congratulations. Good for him. I wrote Warped Wall Cake. I'm assuming he was going. Why did I write Warped Wall? Oh, because his wedding had a Warped Wall Cake. That's why I wrote it. Yeah, sorry, forgot about that part. Casey had a good run. He was having a good run. He got all twisted up on Twist and Fly, but he was still able to finish with just 4.49 seconds left. So good on him. Like, I honestly didn't think he would be one of them to clear, but he cleared. So good for him. That was cool to see. Then for some more fast forwards, some happy fast forwards. Ethan Swanson cleared with 21.21 seconds left. Josh Levin cleared with 16.90 seconds left. And Sean Bryan cleared with 18.95 seconds left. What's up with them fast forwarding Josh Levin 3 times in a row, despite the fact that he's cleared all 3 courses so far that he's been on? Like, come on, man. At least show one. God. Throw the guy a bone. Then they had Jess LeBrecq, and basically they talked about how she's been an inspiration for kids. A nice little segment. I liked what I saw. Then so I wrote, what did I write? Anyway, so one thing that was interesting was that she kind of did a faceplant on Jeep Run for the landing platform. Like, it was a bit scary at first, just because like the way she went off the landing wheel, and it hit the landing platform, kind of did a faceplant. Bit weird. She was looking good, but a little slow. She had a minute left at the warped wall, and she missed her first attempt. I think that was the major difference here. If she hadn't failed the first time, maybe she would have had enough time. But she ended up failing Twist and Fly, transferring to the second handle. I do think she rushed it. Maybe she was just tired. I know she's a track star. I don't know what it is. Maybe she's just got to work on her cardio on an obstacle course or something, or her endurance. But like, I'm saying this to someone who is better than me. But yeah, I want to see Jessie clear stage one day. We're not going to see Jessie Graff see it this time because she didn't compete. They're going to tell us why next week. Due to her filming schedule Eisman's hinting at Wonder Woman, but that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm gonna, and also like, why would he like spoil it? I realize this is NBC, but like, I still think it's I still think it's Captain Marvel. But yeah, unfortunately, none of the Fantastic Four cleared. So next week, so we're gonna get. I'll get to this in a second, but like, I'm just trying to think like, who's the most likely. If we're going to see a female clear this year, who's the most likely? Unfortunately, like, Tiana was shown in a knee brace and crutches later on in this episode. So I'm assuming it's not her. Because I'm assuming this is a case of things were shown out of order, because I was told that Daniel Gill and Matisse Wahi ran later, late in the night, very late in the night. So all that's really left for the women, in terms of women that I think are capable of clearing, are Barclay Stockett and Megan Martin. So it'll be interesting. Megan's been weird on stage 1. Has a bit of pacing issues, in my opinion. And Barclay's only done it once, and like, she gave her all. It's just I think last year she just got tripped up by the warped wall and wasted way too much time. So we'll have to see what happens. But in fast forwards, so Ian Dory, he got stuck on the propeller bar, and then in an attempt to save time, he failed the jumping spider, that's surprising. This is a man who almost cleared stage 3 once. And it happens. Tyler Gillette, however, cleared with 22.73 seconds left, and Adam Rail also cleared with 23.96 seconds. Then they had Joe Morosky. They gave him a stat sheet, no formal profile piece, and shockingly, he failed the double dipper. This is the first time he's ever failed stage 1. He has been to stage 3. Oh god, people are going to yell at me for getting this wrong. I believe 5 times, and 2 times he was the last man standing, including last season. So. The only other time he didn't make it to stage 3 was he failed stage 2 2 years ago. So this was a big shock. It looks like he let go to the first bar too late, which messed up him getting to the second bar, and ended up going off on track. And during his interview with Christine, Joe was very clearly trying to hold back tears. He was trying not to cry. It didn't really work, because it started coming out towards the end. I don't blame him for not wanting to cry on TV, because that's... I understand the mentality, like with TV and all that. The only thing I could say is that, like, it happens to everyone, to people who are shocked. Like, even, whether it's A&W or Sasuke or wherever, all the bests have failed on stage 1 after they were considered one of the best. It happens. It happens to us all, and you just got to be careful to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. You just pick yourself up and try again, and that's really the only thing you can do. And unfortunately for Joe, this was his. I guess this is his, even though this was his 7th time appearing, this is his first time failing stage 1. And so I guess this is just him experiencing something that he's never experienced before, technically. So that's unfortunate for him. Then they had Daniel Gill. So I like this. They had a co-profile piece with Matisse Wahi. I like this. I don't mind if people... do this more often. If A&W does this more often, co-profiles. Basically, him and Hawaii, them training it together. I like this. So, Daniel Gill, I don't know if you're aware of this. Daniel Gill's pretty darn fast when he does the course. He had a minute 27 left when he reached the warped wall, and he basically he got a little bit hung up on twist and release, but because he had so much time, he was able to take his time, readjust, and grab the net high when he jumped. He reached the top, and he cleared with 38.35 seconds left. And that's after getting twisted up on twist and release. Twist and fly, I should say. And then the final runner of the episode was Matisse Owahi. But before that, they did another profile saying, hey, see Megan Martin, Barclay Stockett, Lance Peakus, and Najee Richardson, and Drew Dressel next week. Matisse Owahi, last runner of the episode. They had Tiana. This is where I noticed Tiana in the knee brace and crutches. So, if you don't see her run next week, I'm assuming she got injured on the course, or maybe she got injured prior to training and just came to support her friends. I don't know. I'd love to know what happened. But Matisse is also 19, like Matthew Day. They did 19-19 in the first and last runs of the episode. And nothing much to say other than that. Matisse is very fast, very efficient. He finished with 40.29 seconds left. Very impressive on his part. They have been hyping Matisse for a while now, even before he even appeared on American Ninja Warrior. And he has been able to back up all the praise. So, good on him. So, let's go through some stats. So far we have seen 38 of the 97 qualifiers take on the course. I don't know how many competitors there actually were because, some people didn't compete, and I don't know if all the alternates came in time. Well, I don't know. But in this episode, we had 20 full runs and 18 fast forwards. And in regard to this is by far the most amount of runs we've had all season in a single episode. And in terms of my enjoyment, I just want to say it's really amazing how much better this show is when you when it doesn't take 6 to 8 minutes to clear a course. I have always been an advocate for faster courses, faster paced courses, and for me, this episode sort of solidified that ideal that the courses in regionals even should be faster paced and maybe even timed, as in a time limit. That's a conversation for another time, but this was a fun episode to watch, even though I had some qualms about some of the obstacles. It didn't matter because it's not like any of the obstacles were bad, they're just lame. I guess that's a better way to say it. Oh yeah, they're kind of lame, but they're not bad obstacles. There have been times where they've had bad obstacles that really suck the joy out of the show. But this one is just a case of there's great obstacles, there's good obstacles, and then there's some not so good obstacles, but whatever. Enjoyment was at an all-time high for this, for all season. Most enjoyable episode so far. And I think it largest has to do with the fact that because the course is shorter, because the most it can take to complete the course is 2:25, you get more runs. And there's nothing wrong with having more runs in the same amount of time. So I'm all for faster courses. Hopefully they don't do anything in, I don't know, say a future stage in Midoriyama that would cause the time limit to be really long or anything, or really wet. But that's a conversation for another time, about 2 weeks from now. I'm not touching on that preview that they put at the beginning of the episode. No, I'm waiting for the whole course to be shown. But let's go through the 12 clears that we have seen in this episode so far. From fastest to slowest: Matisse, Owahi, Daniel Gill, Austin Gray, Adam Rail, Tyler Gillette, Ethan Swanson, Carson Voyle, Sean Bryan, Josh Levin, Dan Polizzi, Jamie Rahn, and Casey Suhaki are your 12 clears so far. Another half of the field still left to run. We'll have to see how many more clears we get. Maybe we'll get another 12, maybe we'll get 13, 14, 15. We'll have to see. But thank you everyone for watching. I am going to stop the clock right now. Let me know what you guys think. What did you think of this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you like the course overall? Are you excited for Midoriyama? I'm excited for Midoriyama. Stage 1's going to be fun next week. I think it's going to continue to be a good episode. I made sure not to watch the preview at the end of the episode because I know better. Usually I know better, but I know better in this case. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, please make sure to subscribe. I do coverage of Ninja Warrior and a whole bunch of other stuff, not just the episodes, but other stuff related to Ninja Warrior. And so thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next week for part 2 of Stage 1 of Mount Midoriyama, the grammatically incorrect Mount Midoriyama. for American Ninja Warrior 2018, aka Season 10. But until then, I'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching.